morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So let's see if we can reconnect with Davina and continue our discussion on onboard. There you are.
Tisha, thank you for your patience. Thank
Absolutely. Well, I like talking, as you can tell.
you're in the right role.
All right, so let's get back to onboarding. Let's talk about some of the benefits to, all of the stakeholders, starting with benefits to employees of onboarding, getting them, what it sounds like to me is getting them on board with the company.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. So, onboarding really helps employees to feel welcome. That's one thing. And when people feel welcomed, they get comfortable really quickly and they can get to feel a part of company culture. Also, employees are more informed. They're more informed to do their job because you're now telling them all the things that are critical for them to be able to function in their role properly. And when people are informed, they tend to perform better, right? They also get motivated. Onboarding can increase their motivation levels as well because the company appears to be investing in them and their motivation levels are higher to be able to do what they need to do, and they also feel more engaged through the entire process. They feel valued and they feel engaged.
And I would imagine that it kind of preps them for what they can expect on coming into the business. A lot of people are blindsided sometimes when they come into a business and they don't have a clue. So people come in and they're sitting around for a few days or sometimes even into weeks trying to figure out basic things. So let's talk now about onboarding for remote teams, which I would imagine can be a little different.
Yeah. So in this time, remote teams are really important. That's where the world has gone with the onset of COVID. And with remote teams, onboarding for remote teams really can help you to save time. You are able to send lots of documents up front and you can spend the time that you need to focus on the employee rather than focus on admin tasks, right? So it minimizes you forgetting, like sending a document, that sort of thing. You can facilitate the hiring of remote workers in this way as well. And content is always up to date because the employee has access to the latest information. So any changes to the onboarding as well, you can upload for the remote team. So it really is important to onboard remote teams as well so that information is shared properly and then all the parties are integrated into the organization.
All right, let's talk about this onboarding checklist because I know there's no list that can be exhaustive when you're talking about welcoming new people into the business, but there certainly are a few that you want to make sure you check off on that list.
Right. So, in addition to the key things that we're going to discuss now in terms of what you need to do, the key points to this for onboarding, we also need to make sure that we set objectives. What are the objectives for the onboarding process? Make sure you have those and make sure that you can set up a way to track whether you have achieved those objectives as well. But in terms of the things that you should consider at each phase, you want to make sure that you do what we call pre boarding or pre onboarding. And this is really something that you do before the new hire starts at the organization. So, this may include all the things related to their contract, any legal documents, payroll, any company specific documents that they may have to use for their position. You need to do that before their arrival. So there is a pre-arrival um, checklist or information that you need to complete. So before the start date, the employee needs to know, well, who are my bosses, who are my co-workers, where they're going to perform their duties, the responsibilities of the job, and things related to the company culture as well. So The second thing then is that you plan out then the onboarding activities that you do. So you have the paperwork that you need to do, but you also need to really sit down and plan out, okay, well, what's the employee going to be doing in like their first week, for example? You want to make sure that the team is aware of the new employee, their start date, and you get the team on board as well. You get person's space ready. If it, if it's an office workstation, you need to make sure that you can get that ready as well. You want to make sure that you have some creative things for the employee. You don't want to have your onboarding dull and dry. So, get creative and get allow them to like maybe have encourage the team to invite them out to lunch and that sort of thing so that they can really get comfortable quite quickly. So we had the pre-boarding, that's one. We had two is the planning out the onboarding activities. Three is really helping them to feel acquainted from day one. Make sure that they receive a warm welcome. Sometimes new people come and everyone else seems so grumpy. Make sure the person feels welcome. And you give them a tour of the office, you introduce them. You can even pair them up with someone, pair them up with a buddy so that they have someone that they can go to if they have any questions that they don't necessarily want to go back to the supervisor for. All right. And then the fourth thing is to get the other team members to make sure that they're constantly checking in. And you also, as their supervisor, checking in on them just to make sure that they're feeling confident in their position with the work that they have to do, that they really feel incorporated into the company culture.
All right, that sounds like a comprehensive list, pretty much. So everything, like you said, from prepping from before they get there to preparing them digitally and physically, introducing them to other members of staff, giving them maybe a buddy in the office to be able to guide them through certain things. And most importantly, you want to make sure that you can check in with them as well so they can offer their own feedback and make sure that they are comfortable. So I know that this can go a long way for really welcoming new employees into businesses. So onboarding, it is.
That's right. Onboarding really is critical. There are benefits for the employee and for the organization. Tisha, it is said that there are global statistics that show that employees that are onboarded well will stay with the company for a while. So it's one of the ways that you can reduce your turnover and retain good people by really showing them right from the start that they're valued and that they're welcome. So we really encourage people to take the time and do a proper onboarding with their new hires.
All right, I want to thank you, Executive Director of Intimate Hotels of Barbados, Davina Layne. And, they say the world is a cycle. Everything goes. I remember when I came here to CBC, they didn't call it onboarding then.
Yeah.
But hearing you talk about it, that was definitely my experience. When I came, I was able to spend time in different departments, so I understood the synergies that need to exist to be able to make everything function. It was just a really welcoming time for me and made all the difference. So I definitely can attest to what that means to new employees, particularly young people coming into a business. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for bearing with me as well.
Absolutely. We understand technology, and I recognize that you were sitting there with some plug-in cord in your hand. I didn't want to say anything on TV, but that's all with the times. Live TV. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you too. Have a great day.
And you.
Morning, morning.